Hello and welcome to SaaS Marketing Insights, the show where we ask SaaS founders, CEOs, marketers and investors about the lessons they've learned in their quest to grow their companies. My name is Paul Stevenson and I'm the founder and CEO of SaaS marketing agency 47 Insights. On today's show I have an interview with Greg Davis, Group Product Marketing Manager for Intercom. I met up with Greg at SaaS North in Ottawa. Hope you enjoy it. Your title, exact title?
That's Group PMM.
I knew it was something complicated.
So it's not senior and it's not director. It's somewhere in between, I guess.
Pretty important guy, but you know.
Somewhat.
Okay,
really.
So how long have you been with Intercom, Greg?
We're going on, I think 3 years, 9 months, or 2 years, 9 months right now. So yeah. So actually, it's starting to feel like a bit of an old-timer there. Surprisingly, it doesn't seem like that long a time, but...
It must have changed a lot.
Oh, yeah. When I was first hired, I think we were in the 80-some employees, and now we're in the 410-plus range. So a tremendous amount of change and growth has happened while I've been there. So, but I mean, it's all up and to the right. So it's
as they say.
It's good problems.
So what's your sort of background before you were at Intercom and SaaS marketing generally?
I'd say a little non-traditional path to becoming a marketer, or product marketer specifically. So when I first graduated from college, I was a recruiter actually looking for engineers. This is strangely enough, and that's actually how I got kind of introduced to the tech space in general, and that was back in Boston. So did that for a few years, and then became a financial consultant. Actually, between those two jobs, I was thinking about going to law school. Then my dad, who's a lawyer, talked me out of that and said I'd be miserable. So I didn't end up going to law school and took this financial consulting job, which was supposed to be in Zurich. But after the sixth interview, they said, I hope you like San Francisco. So I flew out to San Francisco without having to know anyone. And then while I was there, I had a really great boss who kind of had an entrepreneurial background, and told him about kind of my ideas. And at that point, I wanted to start a company, and he really encouraged me to do that. So then I quit that job and started my own tech company, which I did for 3.5 years. Kind of the first part of that, I was running sort of sales for us and business development. And then the second half, I was actually doing product management. And a great experience and a terrible one. Raised money from investors, had a board.
So you were a co-founder?
Co-founder of that. And then eventually ended up running it into the ground and having to fire or let everybody go and wind down a company, which is terrible. So an incredibly stressful experience, but I got to see kind of both sides of the house, both sales and then also kind of building a product. And what I learned was I'm not the best at either one of those. And so, but I really want to understand what the customers are doing. And I think enabling sales is really important because they're selling your product, which generates revenue, which is very important to your company. And then also appreciate how difficult it was to build even bad products.
Yeah.
It's really hard. Good ones is incredibly, incredibly hard. And so then after that kind of wound down, I was trying to figure out what to do next. And I realized that kind of there's this triangle of things that I like: customers, sort of sales, and product. And what's a job where you get to do all those things? And that's how I stumbled into product marketing, which you really have to be kind of the second best at all of that stuff and really deeply understand each kind of point on that triangle, and what they need, what are their concerns, and be able to take information from one group and bring it to the other in order to make them successful.
You are the filter.
Yeah, or
the facilitator.
Yeah, hopefully. And so then I got a product marketing job at a big data analytics company. That was my first time doing it actually, for money. And then that got bought. And then afterwards, I was trying to look for my next kind of step. And someone introduced me to Intercom, which from my experience founding a company, I was like, wow, you can actually just talk to your customers and know what they're thinking about the things you build. If I knew that, maybe I would have made many fewer mistakes. Yeah. And so just what the company was doing just absolutely resonated with me and solved a problem that I had when I was a founder.
Cool. I mean, that's a great story. Sometimes you got to learn those hard mistakes to appreciate the value of something.
Oh yeah, it definitely makes you connected to it when you have the problem.
Yeah. So thinking a bit more about the sort of your journey, if you like, with SaaS product marketing, has there been anything that sort of hit you like a blinding flash of obvious, where you did something? Obviously, you talked about the business that you ran before and ran it into the ground. That was a great life lesson. But has there been anything, maybe more recently with Intercom, where you thought, yeah, this particular, we did this, we tried this, it worked really well, or this completely bombed, but we learned the lesson?
Well, one thing
that you can talk about.
Yeah. Well, I guess one thing that that really surprised me when I came to Intercom was how important our blog was in the content we produce. I think we're at multiple articles a week. I think that we release a podcast at least once a month.
Yeah.
And I'd never really appreciated or put that much stock into content and building a thought leadership voice and investing so heavily in it. And it's something that Intercom had been doing since the very beginning, this kind of sharing lessons learned, best practices, all of these different things through this medium of the blog. And we have, I think, tens of thousands of readers of this blog, and it's the reason why when so many people come to work for Intercom, they say yeah, your blog was an incredibly important reason why I wanted to work here. And I don't think a lot of people invest, especially early stage companies like Series A, B, C, in this kind of potentially really valuable resource, which is sharing your voice and your opinions about the world and kind of how you think about building software or marketing it or even selling, and sharing those best practices. Because so many of us are just sort of especially when I was doing my startup, wandering in the dark, just looking for someone to tell me hey, is this the right thing to do? And so people really appreciate that, and that wasn't something that I had fully appreciated before joining Intercom.
Yeah, you guys are prolific content creators, shall we say?
Yeah, well, it used to be one of our quarterly goals to almost every person to write a piece of content.
Yeah, it's very diverse.
And so, but yeah, that was not something that I really considered doing before. Blogging was an afterthought.
So how does Greg Davis, the very busy product marketer with a weird title,
yes,
it's not that weird, group, whatever,
moderately weird.
How do you make sure how do you keep what you're doing fresh? How do you go about keeping up to date with things, learning new stuff? What habits do you have as a person to make sure that you continue to grow as a person without getting burnt out?
Without getting burnt, I think it's just so embedded in our company culture and ethos that we're trying to outdo ourselves and trying to stay cutting edge in whatever we're doing, whether it's a landing page, whether it's the content, whether it's the copy. There's no sense of hey, that was really good, let's just keep doing that. And one of the things that stuck with me is Owen, our CEO, coming out of holiday break last year, said basically something to the effect of, I don't know if we can, I don't know if I want to measure this, and I don't think it's possible, but my hope for you all this year is that you're 10x more creative in whatever you're doing, whether it's selling, whether it's writing code, whether it's marketing. I want you to find the space and have the opportunity and be in the headspace where you're trying to be 10x more creative than you were last year, which is a really interesting.
That's a great ambition.
Yeah, it's totally immeasurable, incredibly lofty, but it's just sort of a mindset that we should always be pushing boundaries. We should always be trying for something new. If we're seeing the messages that we're using out in the marketplace, it's time for us to rethink those, because that's no longer, it's becoming a commodity and it's no longer something that's fresh and impactful.
So you were speaking earlier. We're at SaaS North.
Yes.
What were you speaking on? I didn't unfortunately have the opportunity to see you. But
yeah. So I was speaking on basically some learnings from a project we've been working on for kind of over the last year, which is to see if we can bring our support products slightly up market. So right now we're a really good, or actually very good tool for smaller companies to support their customers.
Yeah.
But at a certain scale, we become less good. And that's something that we feel because we use our support products to support our more than 20,000 customers. So like we feel these pains as much as anybody. And so we set out on this program of work to see if we can up-level this product to be better for larger customers. And we wanted to think about like, what does it mean to do that? And so it brought us to sort of a lot of the thinking about product market fit.
Yeah.
And where we came down is that each time you move from a different segment of customers to another, they probably have slightly different needs, and you have to probably look at it as reestablishing your product market fit. It's not some transferable property just because
it's not set and forget.
Yeah, it's not going to like protect you as a moat from like your competition, either from above or below.
Yeah.
And so we just started thinking more critically about this thing called product market fit and some of the lessons that we learned about, like kind of along our way, trying to figure out like, is this a good framework for like trying to do something like move up market?
Cool. Well, I'm sorry I missed it, but no doubt it will be available in lots of various formats.
Hopefully. We had some tech issues at the beginning, so hopefully they edit those out.
And what you got lined up for the rest of the show? Just enjoying it, hanging out?
I'm excited to see some of the other speakers. I've never been to Ottawa before, so like want to walk
opportunity.
Around and see what's here. It's kind of like, I'm from the Northeast, so it's like kind of nice to be back in the Northeast and have seasons. So kind of all that.
You're enjoying the snow?
I actually really love the snow, so I wish there was a bit
smattering,
more.
Not quite enough.
Not enough, but...
Greg, thank you very much. It was great to meet you, and thank you very much for taking your time out, your busy show. I hope you enjoyed my conversation with Greg. For more info on Intercom, please visit www.intercom.com. Next week, I'll be talking with Ollie Gardner from landing page software Unbounce. For more info about this show and to get our links to iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher and YouTube, please visit www.47insights.com/podcast. And if you have any SaaS marketing insights that you'd like to share on the show, get in touch via that page. Until next time.